Happy Hammer Week. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. What an amazing Thursday we have planned for you guys today. The trial starts tomorrow. 2 days. Michigan versus the NCAA is going to be must see TV, but we'll have some sources. We'll get some intel on it. But this is not normal. People don't go to this type of a case. They don't normally get to this step. But when there's a serious disagreement between the punishments and everything else, it gets to this. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes. But it's not looking good for Michigan, man. You got 11 infractions, 6 level ones. A level one is a felony level one. That's as bad as it gets. So this is going to be a very interesting hearing. So with that being said, as always, again, I appreciate all of the great text messages and the emails and the direct messages on Twitter that we got yesterday for our 5-year anniversary, our 5-year birthday. Again, it's humbling. It's amazing. We're nothing without the Scoop family, so we love you guys to death for being on here each and every night. It's so fun. This has been an incredible ride for Nevada and I. And Nevada and I obviously we're best friends. We talk all the time. Super easy. And this show is kind of an extension of our lives, and we get to share it with you guys and take your questions and kind of expound upon some of the stuff that we know that is going on. But this Michigan trial is absolutely crazy, and we're here for it. We're excited for it. So if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. If you want to help us out in a huge way, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. Again, love you guys so much. All of you guys that have been sending me the screenshots of you guys subscribing to Apple Podcasts and the screenshot of the reviews that you leave that are very heartfelt, the 5 stars. Super easy to do on your iPhone. And again, it's something that it helps us tremendously. Again, we've been very lackluster in growing that area of our regular audio podcast. So that's why I've been just asking for you guys, if you guys want to do it, it's free, completely free. It helps us out in a major way. But I thank you guys for that. And also continue to pay it forward. Again, our super chats go to our pay it forward fund. We signed up hundreds of new members via pay it forward to buckeyescoop.com. And that the people that are eligible for a concierge membership to buckeyescoop.com are your military members, your police officers, your firefighters, paramedics, first responders. Again, thank you guys for keeping us safe. Thank you guys for keeping us from being Mad Max. Again, I know that sometimes certain units like the force, the boys in blue, the police officers get a bad rap, but I'm like, guys, that's the hardest job in the world. It's Mad Max without cops. I love cops. I'm very deferential to cops. I appreciate them so much for all that they do. And along with our military, again, that's the only reason that we have a country is because our military is so powerful. So I'm just very thankful for you guys, and I just appreciate you guys so much. So with that being said, we're going to get into the show tonight. Nevada. Oh, excuse me. I apologize. I got my Spiro deal on. I got it to Nevada. There's Nevada. Nevada, as we are rolling into this, it's like Christmas Eve, basically, for us, because we've been waiting for this day, the NCAA versus Michigan. How rare is it for this to get to trial? Because again, this isn't a parking ticket. You guys, a lot of you guys have had speeding tickets, parking tickets. With a speeding ticket in general, like you don't go to court for it. You pay a fine online and it's wiped off your record in a couple years or whatever. And, but this is something where there's a full trial. This is not a standard thing that happens with every school that commits an infraction. How rare is this? How strange is this? And how bad is this going to be for Michigan, Nevada?
Well, it's terrible. I mean, if you're looking for percent, it's less than 1% of all the cases opened up by the NCAA end up in a full COI hearing. So this is exceptionally rare. And what the Michigan beat will try to convince you of is nobody's talked about vacation of wins. Nobody's talked anything about postseason bans. All they're talking about is, does Sharon Moore get 2 games, or does he get a 4-game suspension and maybe a little fine and some recruiting restrictions? And that's the reason why they're going all the way to a full committee of infractions hearing. And I liken that to be like if you were on a trial, pick the offense, whatever it was, and they come to you with a plea bargain, and they say, "Mr. Barton, here's the plea bargain. We'll give you got a weekend in jail, a $500 fine, and you go on probation for 6 months, or you can go to trial and potentially spend 30 years in prison." Now, regardless of guilt, innocence, or whatever it is, you're taking the plea deal. You're taking the plea deal, and you're going, no, no, I'll do the overnight in prison and the $50 fine and do the thing, because nobody. wants to go to a full hearing and risk whatever, because this is the great unknown. Um, once they put themselves in it, and keep in mind, this isn't like a 6-week trial, an 8-week trial where they get to go through and cross. It's a 2-day hearing, and most of it is driven by the NCAA. The NCAA guys are basically presenting their case to the board and why that they feel that these are things. And these are NCAA investigators presenting to NCAA judges on why Michigan, violated, basically the last vestiges of NCAA enforcement, which is competition on the field, fairness, because all the player eligibility stuff, the $500 handshakes, the payola, the give money to the church to Cam Newton's dad, allegedly, any of that other stuff, that's all gone. That's all been wiped out by the courts, and now we're in Mad Max world of NIL and $20 million salary caps and all this other stuff like that. But the other stuff still there. It still matters, and that's a rule that, it's a rule that's been set there. It's been on the books forever. It was designed to prevent exactly from what happening from happening. And Michigan decided to not only violate the rule, but to openly thumb their nose at the NCAA, destroy evidence, encourage people not to testify, have people not testify, have people lie to the NCAA about it, destroy servers. I mean, they've done everything possible. And when you read these decisions from the NCAA, they always give they give the mitigating factors, both positively and negatively. And they'll say mitigating factor: this school's a repeat offender, this school did not cooperate, whatever maybe, or on the right side, they'll say mitigating factor: the school showed exemplary cooperation, the school has not been in any trouble, blah, 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 blah. I mean, Michigan checks every box for aggravating factors to the negative. Every single box that you get: repeat offender, non-cooperative, destroyed evidence, um, didn't punish the evildoers, still welcoming Connor Stallions onto the campus as we speak, celebrating him as their hero. Sharon Moore still their head coach. I mean, they've checked every box for a group that just doesn't care. So what Michigan's doing here in the last, I mean, literally on COI Eve. Oh, Sharon Moore, we've given him a 2-game suspension. Now, not the first 2 games, but for games 3 and 4, because the first 2 games, he's an alumni of Oklahoma. So we want him to go to the Oklahoma games. So we picked 3 and 4, but those are the 2 games. And yeah, we just sprinkled in a few recruiting restrictions, and we pulled our coaches back for 9 days in May. So, I mean, they're trying so hard to demonstrate that they're doing something when they've absolutely done nothing up till now but flipped off the NCAA, and it's not going to work. Now, keep in mind, everything that we say about the penalties, we're not the jury. So Kirk can sit here and Nevada can sit here. We can talk about the penalty. We don't know we're not on the thing. We're not the ones handing out the punishment. But if you have enough contact with the NCAA and you can find out.
You back? Go ahead and go. Nevada's coming back in, but yeah, you look at some of the things that are going to go down over the next couple of days, and there is a fantastic article on sportsillustrated.com that details kind of what to expect over the next few days with this, and who's going to be sitting in on it, and how hard it's going to be, and how, the people are sitting on this thing. They're not there to, they're not Michigan fanboys. This isn't the idiots that cover that program. This is going to be ferocious. I mean, Michigan's got some very they've got some very seedy activity. There's a mountain of evidence. And, the guy who is running this case is a guy named Joe Duncan. And again, if you read the Sports Illustrated article, and again, we've heard a lot about Joe Duncan. He's a guy who's been described as having exceptional character. He views himself as an umpire, calls balls and strikes. He's very fair, a man of the highest integrity. And that's who's hearing this case. So, when you've got this mountain of evidence of cheating, Connor Stallions paying people to go watch these games. Connor Stallions, breaking these signals down. The data transfers that they'll have and the video, and it's not going to look very good for a guy who's highly ethical that's running this thing and saying, hey, all of this is literally illegal, and we have your entire paper trail, all your entire data transfer trail of everything. So it's going to get ugly, and it's going to be something where this isn't even close to being some sort of a close case in my opinion. And again, if it was close, then Michigan would have accepted the plea bargain or the punishment, but the plea bargain was so heavy that they're just like, well, let's might as well just roll the dice and see what happens. And it's just not looking good. Nevada, we lost you for a second. Come back in. What did you have to say?
I was rolling, man. I was rolling, but no, look, it's an overwhelming case. It's a case that's important to the NCAA for more reasons than just the case. I mean, this is about the NCAA's relevance. This is about the NCAA's survival as an enforcement agency. And this case goes, I mean, while anything else you could talk about player benefits, about uh, academic fraud, about ineligible athletes contributing, how much do they contribute? This one went right to the matter of wins and losses. This one right to the matter of who was the champion, who wasn't the champion, right to on-field advantage in a the most significant way possible. I mean, I can't. I've said it before, but short of you know bribing the officials, I don't know what you could do that would have a greater impact on the game than in-person advanced scouting illegally, recording their signals surreptitiously, and then knowing what the plays were coming before that. I can't imagine anything that would be a bigger advantage. And then to throw that on all that aside, the fact that you had a full-time staffer in disguise on the sideline of a game against your rival in the season in which you won the national championship. I mean, it's just it's a crazy story. And when you figure what the NCAA has got in front of them right now, they're like, look, this is the one we want. This is the one. I always say, when you're gambling, and this as well as anybody, when you're gambling, you play some good spots, some bad spots, some in between, but when you get that great spot, when you got that one, like that, the big, that's just when you push all your chips in, and you push it all your chips in, and you live with the results, whatever it is, because you've got a great spot, you've got every advantage that's going on. That's where the NCAA is on this. The NCAA is going all in on this, and that I can guarantee you. That's why they've been so they've got the best people. They've been unbelievably careful. This is the best documented case in NCAA. Hey, the fact that the NCAA felt compelled to go to the Big Ten in the middle of the season and let them know what was going on so that the Big Ten could take action in the middle of the season against Michigan while this NCAA investigation, because they realized, I mean, think about what they could have done. They could have just had an NCAA investigation and gone out, and now we get to the thing, and people are like, what the heck? They let this go on for 2 years and nobody did it. They took the. I've never seen it before. I've been doing this for decades. I know you've been following this for decades. We've never seen anything like this before, where the NCAA, while they're conducting an investigation, goes to the conference and says, "Hey, you guys got to do something about this. This is how bad this is." That should tell you, that alone. If that was the only fact, if you're a Michigan fan, that would be the one thing that would send the chill down my spine. Where I'm like, oh man, the NCAA really views this seriously, because they've done something they've never done before in the history of the NCAA. And if my only defense on that was some sort of, you felt like you found a loophole. Well, even if you found a loophole, let's say that oh, it's okay if somebody other than Michigan staffers does it. You can use third parties, which we all think is a preposterous argument. They've got it. They did it 9 times by Michigan people. So whether it's 9 times or 59 times, that's terrible. I mean, that's terrible. That's cause for everything to be wiped out, everything to be, to be vacated, or at least not recognized. Because again, the NCAA does not have the power to take away Big Ten titles. They don't have the power to take away national championships, but they can not recognize that and then leave it to the associate bodies to, take the steps. And I think that the writing is on the wall, that is what's going to happen. I think that this case it's as Thanos said, it's inevitable. I think this case is inevitable. The Michigan's got a great spot, and they're gonna. I mean, Michigan's gonna get it because the NCAA is going all in on this one, and it's going to be 2 days. It's going to be a very uncomfortable time for Michigan to sit there and have them go through this piece by piece, and their defense is, oh, he was a lone wolf, this insignificant staffer who was running down the field in the 2021 Big Ten championship game and
Yeah.
high-fiving all the players and getting the game balls. And I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy what went on there. But hey, we're on Hammer Eve, and the hammer cometh, and right soon.
Yeah, and again, I encourage you guys to read Pat Forty's article. Again, I've known Pat for 15, hell, 20 years. I mean, he used to cover me when I was at Ohio State and wrote a really nice article. And he interviewed Jack Swarbuck. Jack Swarbuck has been the athletic director at Notre Dame for. He was there for a long time. He's retired now, but he's a former athletic director, and he details what one of these hearings is like. Now, again, I didn't remember this, and Nevada players didn't remember this, but Notre Dame had accusations against him for academic fraud. And so I'm just going to quote from Pat Forty's article. He says, former Notre Dame Fighting Irish athletic director Jack Swarbuck sat through a hearing years ago that ultimately led to the football program vacating 21 victories from 2012 and the 2013 season. Now, you got to remember, 2012 was the year that Ohio State, if we didn't have a bowl ban, we probably would have played Notre Dame in the national championship game. So that season is vacated now because of academic fraud. And so was the next year. It says when a student trainer did classwork for players, the school discovered the violations on its own and suspended the players, but that did not spare them from the sanctions. So like Notre Dame actually was prudent and they were self-policing and they suspended the players and they still got smashed with the vacated wins. And it says today, Jack Swarbuck does not remember the hearing process following. He says, quote, the process was so short of expectations. They wanted a transcript of it. And, the most disappointing part was that the NCAA was, they're prosecuting this. Like they're out to get these guys and they smashed Notre Dame for, a trainer writing some papers or doing whatever, taking quizzes or whatever. So, he said almost all of the 6 people interviewed for the story said the process is not very contentious. There are disagreements and sometimes they're accused of violations. But they'll become heated during the questioning. So again, this is like a cross-examination. This is not about to be fun for these guys, because again, the NCAA is out for blood. And I know people say, oh, the NCAA doesn't exist anymore and they don't, whatever. And I'm like, well, in a case like this, if they're going to suspend, if they're going to give Notre Dame 2 years of vacations because of, and again, that 12 team was a team that went to the national championship. They got housed by Alabama in the title game, a game that we would have played against them in for the title, probably would have beat them. And what Michigan did with the on the field stuff is a million times worse than somebody taking a test for you. Cause this is literally cheating the game, making sure a kid can pass algebra or math 050. And again, that's why it's always rich to me that people talk about how great Notre Dame's education is. I was like, well, you guys, they still get in. I mean, I saw Devontae Neal's transcript when I worked at Ohio State. Like, if you can get him into Notre Dame, you could get my ingrown toenail into Notre Dame. I promise you. As much as they want to talk about virtue and all that other trash, they still have a program where the kids can read tread tires for a living, where they can get in fast guys at the school, at the University of Notre Dame. So, but I think that this is going to be so spectacular for us because the evidence is so overwhelming and there's so much stuff that's gone wrong. And these guys have been so brazen and stupid. And really what it really comes down to is just sheer desperation. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's stock was at the lowest it had ever been in his entire coaching career. 4-8, and then he bows out of us. He fakes COVID so they just have to play us in 2020. And then they figure out a way to cheat and get it back up, and then he fools an NFL owner to hiring him, and away we go. But this is going to be it's going to be spectacular, and I can't wait for it. Nevada, any thoughts? We're getting a bunch of super chats starting to pile up.
Well, yeah, just I mean, look, you remember when Ohio State went through their issues with the trinkets, the trinkets for existing players scandal that went on in Ohio State, and Gene Smith came out and was like, "There's a bowl ban is not on the table. I put my foot down, and there's a bowl ban." And Urban Meyer was hired and was told by Ohio State and by Gene Smith that there was not a possibility of a postseason ban. Urban Meyer was told that. And then what happened? The NCAA gave them a bowl ban. So when I see these idiots like Chris Ballas at the Michigan Beat say, "Oh, nobody said there's any bowl ban." Like, Urban Meyer didn't know that there was a bowl ban on the table, and they got a bowl ban. So you're telling me Chris Ballas, but now he finally admits on eve of the infraction. Well, maybe the NCAA had put that out there that there was a possibility of a bowl ban. Oh, really? Well, God, who could have seen that coming? Yeah, you don't end up at a committee of infractions hearing. You don't end up at the final stage of the trial unless what they've offered to settle has just been so unpalatable, just so off the table for you. And for Michigan right now, I mean, the NCAA. I'm trying to think if there's a person in the history of the NCAA that they hate more than Harbaugh. And I don't think I think he might be the most hated person in the history of the NCAA. And he skated out of there. He skated out of there, flipped them off, wouldn't cooperate, wouldn't provide information, wins his national championship, gets his big contract at Chargers and goes off. If you think for a second that the NCAA is going to go, well, he's gone, so that's it. Look, they're going to get their pound of flesh. Someone is going to pay for this, and as they should, because you shouldn't be able to cheat. I mean, Harbaugh was in a situation where he'd been violated so badly by Ohio State that he came out and said, "We're going to beat them or die trying." And he ordered his compliance department to stand down, his recruiting guys to bring guys in during the dead periods, during the blackout periods during COVID. Not to he ordered him to break every rule. He told Fredo Harbaugh to start sending Venmos to the counter stallions. Let's get this whole program kind of fired up there. Let's do whatever we got to do to win because we're gonna win by golly. And he pulled it off, and he got his national championship. And they didn't now he ultimately left as the most sanctioned coach in the history of the NCAA. A guy that was supposedly on the eve of signing an extension to go to Michigan when he was facing a years long suspension, 5 year show cause for NCAA. I don't think he was coming back to Michigan there anytime soon, guys. And now you've got your head coach who's a repeat offender and an evidence destroyer who's got a text message in there that, in you read the text, talks about a meeting between Jake Costner, the Central Michigan staffer, who was setting up the Connor Stallion sideline caper, coming down to Ann Arbor to meet with him and Connor. I wonder what they were going to talk about. I wonder if it had anything to do with being on the sideline at the Central Michigan game. I don't think you have to be like a great detective to figure that one out. That's the reason why he deleted the text messages. It wasn't innocuous little, birthday greetings or who wants pizza or whatever it was. It was about a meeting between a Central Michigan staffer who ended up getting fired. Him and Jim McElwain both got fired from Central Michigan over this caper, and he wanted to cover that up. And now it's all being laid bare. It's after all this deflection and denial and deceit and everything else that they've been doing, they now get the trial. And I know the NCAA guys are excited about it. I know that people there, everybody in the organization is watching this one. Everybody's there watching this one, and they're not trying it. It's you're trying it before the NCAA. It's being tried by the NCAA in front of the NCAA. And you want to talk about home field advantage? they've definitely got the home field advantage on it, and their word is final on this. After that, there'll be no appeal unless Michigan's going to try to claim some sort of, Michigan's always threatened this legal stuff, and as Spiro pointed out last night, they were talking all this stuff. That's when Yoko Ono was tweeting bet, and when they saw the evidence, when they saw the master spreadsheet, when they saw the stuff that the NCAA had, you know what they did? They stood down. They immediately sit down. Well, after they sit there through 2 days of the NCAA walking through all of the information that they have, Michigan's going to do? They're going to complain. They're going to cry. They're going to gripe. They're going to do it, and they're going to take it because that's all that they got left at this point. So they got no good cards left to play.
Yeah, this is about to be amazing. I was just texting with Pat Forty, who I love to death, and he's been he's pretty down the middle. I mean, he's a little left sometimes, a little wild, but he's been a guy that's I've known for a long time. And this article was, it's like, it doesn't get to this point very often where you have a trial. Normally there's a negotiated resolution, and it doesn't get to this crazy point where they're going to have this contentious 2 days of this is the evidence, this is what you're facing, this is, how do you explain this, and blah, blah, blah. But Michigan is so dumb that it's just mind blowing. And again, like you've said since, day one, the reason why this hasn't been settled is because what they've offered as a settlement is so, not extreme, but fitting for the crime. And it's something that, you're like, well, hell, it's like if they're going to give me life in prison as a settlement, I might as well try to see if I can go to trial and try to beat that and maybe face the death penalty or something of that nature. So it's like, if it's like, well, I either get life in prison if I settle, or I can go to trial and I might get the death penalty. It's like, well, at that point, it's like just roll the dice and see what we can do. That's where Michigan is right now. Again, 6 level 1 infractions. Again, the Michigan people think this is a game or this is a joke. I'm like, guys, like, go read the rule book and see what these guys did and how heinous it was. And like Notre Dame, they had 2 seasons vacated because of a student trainer taking, tests and quizzes for players. So like, if they're going to vacate again, like if a kid's eligible or not, again, I get it. It's not fair or whatever, but that's way different than, videoing signs and stringers at every game, advanced scouting, Connor Stallions being on the sideline, and then Central Michigan, that staffer that is Connor's best friend, lets him on the sideline and gives him the shirt and the khakis and the shoes, and and they fired him, and then Jim McElwain magically retires and leaves $2.5 million on the table. And you can look up his career earnings; he didn't make that much money, where he just walked from 2.5. Like no 62-year-old coach walks away from 2.5 million to go live in Fort Myers or Bonita Springs or whatever. So. Yeah, it's going to be a great couple of days. That I got a couple of super chats. Christian Penn, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, my friend. Kirk checking in from Reynoldsburg. Can't wait for the hammer to drop. Nevada, OH. And I'm going to throw in a Go Bucks. I was out near Reynoldsburg. Not really. I was at Canal Winchester last night in the middle of the night to get my kid a Switch 2, which I procured, that was like my holy grail to be a great dad, is get my kid a Switch 2 on launch day, and I was able to get it. I pulled it off, and it was a good negotiation. Got it done. Person was amazing, and so my kid woke up with a Switch 2 and was very excited. Nevada, your thoughts? Again, Christian says checking in for Reynoldsburg, which is about 40 minutes to the east of where we're at in Columbus. Well, what are your thoughts? Again, I told you about my daddy caper where I was like, I got to get this stupid Switch so that he's excited and happy, and he got it, man. And he took it to school today or summer camp. He was loving life. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, the fact that the Barton children are like you've got little Joffrey Baratheon
He
there.
is. He is. I know. I'm like Tywin Lannister. I said the king is tired. Send him to bed. I am not tired. Give him the essence of nightshade. Send him to bed. You just sent the king to bed you sent the king to bed without his supper.
Oh gosh!
Any man who has to say that he's the king is no true king.
Yes,
it's like if you have to say you're the king of the North, or you're the kings of the North, you're not really the king. Because here's the one thing you guys will always remember about Buckeye Scoop and me in Nevada is, and people that go against us, is you can't king the king. And that's going to be one of our new phrases around here, is that you can't king the king. You can try it, try to do what we do, try to work like we do, but you can't king the king. And those guys know it, and their ratings are sad and not real good, and their sites aren't real good, but you can't king the king. Nevada, any thoughts on that?
No, that is very, very true. No, there's only one Buckeye Scoop, and nobody's as crazy as we are to go as hard as we do and go as often as we do and dig as hard as we do. Look, we put a lot of work in these stories, believe it or not. When we come at this stuff, Spiro had put out a tweet yesterday talking about how, we try to, when we get news, we don't just try to come to you guys and just hand stuff to you unvetted, unverified. We try to dig to get the best information possible, and that's why we've been able to stay so accurate on this story. And we've had the timing of the NOAs, we've had what was going to be involved. The Weiss thing, when the Weiss thing broke, I don't even remember when the Weiss thing broke. There was the people on there, some of the Michigan beat writers had put out that it wasn't a big deal, like it wasn't a federal matter, it was a local affair, it wasn't a federal matter or something like that. We're like, no, we're told this is a really big deal, guys. This is like a really big deal. Like the definition of federal as in the FBI. So yeah, no, it's been a fun story. It's been a story that I think this story's been perfect for us because it's enabled us to kind of use all of our contacts, use all of our, information and digging, which we both love to do. And here we are. It's like delivering a baby after 9 months. Now, tomorrow. Now again, keep expectations in pit. There's not going to be a decision in the next 48 hours. So Nevadabuck and Buckeye Scoop are not saying there's going to be a decision in the next 48
Mm.
hours. Spiro thinks it's going to be. It could be 6 months. It could be 9 months. I think it's going to be less than that by statute. I think they say 30 to 45 days, but then there's extension. I think it's going to be on the lower side. He thinks it's going to be on the higher side, but we're not in the timing business. We can't tell you the time. I always say timing these things is always dicey. So
Mhm.
modify your expectations as to when, but not if. It definitely the decision will be coming, and when it does, it's not going to be good for Michigan, and they're going to be sad pandas.
Yeah, and I've stressed that again. I've been in the system. I've been in the legal system. Not proud of that, but I've been there. And it's like the one thing I know about it is they don't operate on your time. They're not operating on Michigan's time. They're gonna take their sweet time and do their due process. And it's something where if you can avoid it, I swear to God, if you guys can do it, do it. Again, nobody tries to get jammed up by the law, but Michigan is jammed up right now, and they're not as much as Michigan wants a resolution, which they obviously don't because they didn't accept the proposed settlement. Because again, it is very, very, it is a absolute jackhammer that they're going to get hit with. It's going to take some time. Again, these things aren't, they're not taken lightly. They're on. The NCAA doesn't move for anybody. They're like Paulie and Goodfellas. They move at their own speed, and just like court. It's like everyone in the world that's ever been in the system. They're like, well, I hope this gets done. And it's like, nah, we're gonna do our next thing in 8 weeks or 12 weeks, or we'll see in like it's right now it's June. It's like, oh, we'll see you in November. It's like, why? So this thing's gonna take some time. There's a lot of stuff to pour through. They'll go over the tapes, they'll go over the transcripts, they'll go everything, and it's gonna be it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad. Again, like 6 level 1, I mean that's 6 felonies. They're 6 level 1s, and 11 total violations, repeat offender, non-cooperation. I mean, not only the charge is crazy, but then the way that they acted is crazy. And again, they are still going to be acting in this deal the next 2 days. So it's like they can throw a nuclear bomb on top of the roaring bonfire by acting like idiots again over the next 2 days, which I fully expect because at this point they're already sold. And again, the tea leaves, they're not even tea leaves at this time. They're like the size of they're like read the sequoia trees at this point, because when you see all the coaches left, Santa Ono gets declined, which again people say, oh well, politics and whatever. I'm like, guys, like, do you really think the University of Florida, which isn't anywhere near as prestigious as the University of Michigan from an academic standpoint, they want a president that was acting like an absolute clown and saying bet and taking photos with the players and like really like I mean, they were up the creek because they were cheating, and then he like leaned into it to support them, which is insane. Because again, if I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this, I'm like, I don't know if I want to like come over and give these guys all a French kiss at practice and take photos with them and do everything else. I'd probably like not want to be around them too much and kind of put my nose up a little bit, which again, it's whatever, but I think it cost him the floor job. And he already resigned from Michigan, so he's like a man without a country at this point, because of his decisions he made. And again, he decided to align himself with cheaters and um, just stupid, really stupid. Sweet potato calves, which I've never heard that name before on here, so that is an excellent name. So I don't know what it means, but it's kind of funny. Next with five says, my quote sources over at informed me their 80s first name is actually pronounced lard. So who would have guessed it? Hashtag that hashtag lard manual, aka Ward Manual. Nevada, our resident thumbnail guru, Ward Lard Fat Manual. I don't care about Michigan. It's not my school. I don't care what they do. If they fall off the earth, if they get sent to a North Korean, work camp for the rest of their lives, all of them, I'm good with it. But the fact that Ward Manuel still has a job is insane to me after what happened with basketball, hockey, the football program, the number of suspensions, sanctions. It's absolutely insane at this point. What are your thoughts on that? Because again, Sweet Potato Caps Thanks for Five says that his name's actually pronounced as Lard Manual. Do you agree with that, Nevada?
Well, I agree that that large should definitely be part of his name for sure, and certainly a big part of his diet. But I mean, Ward's he's the guy that's got to see this through. I am certain that he will be a casualty of this. He'll be leaving after this whole thing's done. But you can't lose everybody. You can't lose your president. You can't lose your head football coach, and then lose your AD in the middle of something like this. I'm sure they're paying him handsomely to kind of steer the ship onto the rocks, take this thing, take their punishment, and as part of their cleansing of the soul to the NCAA will include Ward Manual rolling off into the sunset. So yeah, I just think, I mean, somebody had to be there to steer the ship on there. And I can tell you, there are people in the Michigan admin that are just furious with him, just absolutely furious with him for taking it to this point. And these people who, in the beginning, I'd say that their attitude was kind of, I won't say devil may care, but they were less concerned about what this is going to be. That less concern has turned to gravely concerned. They are gravely concerned about the outcome of this. And these are higher up Michigan insiders, administrative types that are there. They're on the front lines, and they're reading the tea leaves just along with us. And there's nobody in the Michigan thing is thinking, oh wow, yeah, we're gonna get the fruit basket, we're gonna get the apology. We're gonna we beat these guys. We found the loophole. No, they're concerned that they may have overplayed their cards, that they're coming into this hearing and not a good spot. And Ward will ultimately be one of the guys that pays the price on this. And but he's been stealing money from the University of Michigan for a long time, taking that salary. So I think it's finally good that they're going to finally get rid of that guy.
Yeah, I agree. Miss Pinky, thank you for the five. Appreciate you, my friend. She says, "What time is the hearing, and will there be a readout of the proceedings?" I think it's a private hearing, Nevada. There's not going to be a readout of it. I don't know what time it starts. I imagine probably noon or 10 a.m. or something. Because the one guy in Pat Forty's article talked about how the breakfast was the best part of the day. So obviously they're going to start early, 8, 9 o'clock, and roll through the day, 2 straight days of pain and suffering. Nevada, Miss Pinky asks, "What time is the hearing, and will there be a readout of the proceedings?"
Yeah, I'm told 9 a.m. No, there won't be a readout, but just think about it from, and again, Kirk, you've gone through legal stuff before. Now, I'm not talking about like, there's criminal legal stuff, there's civil legal stuff. You're familiar with the legal process. A 2-day hearing where think about how much evidence they have to present against Michigan. there's not going to be a lot of time for rebuttal, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is mainly going to be one-way traffic coming in, and it's going to be incoming because there's just a mountain of stuff to talk about. And 2 days with, breaks and lunch breaks, and you go here and go, that's not a lot of time. That's not, that is going to fly by. And yeah, I think for Michigan's envisioning some Perry Mason moment where they're standing up and using that great Michigan education and arguing them off, and it's like my cousin Vinny and Marissa Tomei is going to run in there and stomp her foot and save the day with their Polaroid pictures. That ain't going to happen, man. This is going to be they're going to be deflecting arrows coming in over the bow all day. And when they get hit with one, they're going to get hit with something else. And some of the stuff that they have is absolutely indefensible. So this is not going to be a pleasant 48 hours for Michigan. They're not going to get a lot of time. And if you talk to people that have actually been in this, that's the one thing they say. They say once you get to this place, you don't get a really lot of opportunity. This is not an opportunity for you to advocate for yourself. It's more you're just trying to do the best you can to defend yourself. And in this case, I'm not really even sure what Michigan's defense is. They've already pretty much given up the fact that this happened. They're just trying to say their entire the entire linchpin of their defense is the NCAA's overstepping. Um, these weren't really hard and fast rules. This is kind of in a gray area. And Connor Stallions was some lone wolf assassin that nobody really knew what he was doing. And so don't punish the institution. That is their defense. I don't think that's going to fly very well.
Yeah, I agree. Kyle Hauser, thanks for the deuce. He says, when will we get leaks on the NOA slash punishment Nevada OH? I don't know, but we'll be waiting for it. I know that for sure. Nevada, any thoughts when we'll get leaks on the
Well, I mean,
punishments?
you'll get leaks of the punishment right away from Michigan. Here's what Michigan's leak's going to be. Oh, we feel like this wasn't that bad, and they were apologizing that they even had to bring us in, and they're hoping that we don't sue them, and blah. They're going to try to put it in the best possible light, and then whatever date this comes down, it's going to come. It's going to be a little at first, and then all at once. It's going to be all the just little things from Michigan talking about how it doesn't seem that bad, didn't seem bad, and then it's going to get slammed, and then they go, we couldn't have seen that coming. And Chris Ballas he's already pivoted. Today is the famous pivot where he's like, well, this isn't me saying that this wasn't going to be bad. It's Michigan and Pete Thamel back in August, 10 months ago, when Pete Thamel threw some throwaway comment about he didn't think this would amount to much. Well, a lot of people, first of all, Pete Thamel ain't always right. We've hammered Pete Thamel on some stuff famously a bunch of times. Secondly, that was 10 months ago. So I'd be interested to hear Pete Thamel's take on even if Pete Thamel still wants to go with, I don't think much of that. If Pete's listening or he gets to Pete, I'm willing to bet you, Pete, that something comes of this. So if you want to take the other side of that, I'm your Huckleberry. You hit us up at buckeyescoop@gmail.com and we'll arrange some sort of a little wager between us. But no, you know, Ballas is trying to pivot to so it's not his fault. So what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to, when this comes down, he's going to go, well, I was only listening to Michigan and Pete Thamel, so I wasn't wrong. I was just listening to the guys that were wrong, and so ended up getting it wrong. So that's a little game that he's playing right now, kind of like he's been able to do to stay on after he said that Harbaugh wasn't going to be suspended. This was no big deal on the Matt Weiss thing. There wasn't even going to be an NOA. Harbaugh was going to sign an extension. I mean, you could just go down the list of things been wrong, and he's still out there swinging. And but that's what's going to happen over the next days, weeks, months, till we ultimately get a decision. And the timing on it, I mean, guys, that's completely a wild blank guess because we timing these things is always no matter what. If I get pinned to a timing thing, it'll be wrong. And somebody's like, "Oh, Nevada said it was going to be August, and
No.
it's
Oh.
September 1st," and it's like, I mean, I like it's just impossible to predict the timing at this point in time. I
Yeah,
want it to be as
it's
long as possible. I want it to be
uh,
as long as possible. I'm going on record right now.
I
I
know.
want it as long as possible. The
Twisting in
longer
agony for as long as
twisting and
possible.
agony. The
Yeah.
longer the better. Like if they were like hanging, if they were like the Brotherhood and they're caught and they're hanged right there, I want them to, I want a slow death for them. I don't want a quick death. I want like a slow death. I want the like that sept that got there with the mountain. She's like, oh no, you're not gonna die today. You know, your
Oh
gods have
yeah.
forsaken you. This is your new god.
Uh,
That's what I want for them.
uh,
I want Michigan to have a slow death. That's what I want, not a quick one, slow one.
you talk about the chick that made Cersei walk naked through King's Landing.
Shame,
Yeah,
shame.
yeah, the shame check. And like all of a sudden, like all of a sudden
Oh
Cersei
no,
gets
you're not
power, and
gonna
all of a
die,
sudden,
man.
no, the mountain is your new best friend. He is who you've
Yeah.
forsaken now. So what a
Yes,
great show.
yes.
Game of Thrones. All right, Nevada, let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
No, this is so exciting. This is, I'm tucking all the kids in, and they all get to open up a little present here on Committee on Infractions Eve, and it's gonna be great. We're singing carols by the fire right now, and I just gave one of my kids. I gave him a Nintendo Switch too. They got that, and so I'm the best at. No,
You, you
no,
get
that
you
was
give
you.
you give him a Honus Wagner too.
I gave him a Honus Wagner H, PSA
Honus
8.
Wagner.
That's what I gave him.
You
Yeah.
told you were with Wayne Gretzky. Wayne, please don't sell this for 500 grand
Don't
in
sell.
1998. Please don't do it.
Oh,
Now it's worth
so
$100 million. But hey, that 500 grand in 98 was probably worth like $3 million now. So it's pretty good.
yeah,
You
that
know.
card would be worth more than everything Wayne Gretzky made in his entire career. Seriously, that make more than his entire
Oh
career.
my
Yeah,
God. Are you kidding
yeah,
me? I
yeah,
mean, he retired
yeah,
in like
yeah,
99. I mean, when they were
yeah.
making 4 or 5 million a year, which is again great money, but I mean, in the NHL, it's just funny because like Connor McDavid's the best player in the league, he makes like 13 million, and then
Yeah.
the second guy on the Celtics makes 60 million a year. Jalen Brown. So it's
Well,
like,
no, the 13th guy on the bench makes $13 million a year. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? It's like
I
it's
know.
crazy.
So
That's
buy your kid a basketball hoop is the moral of the story.
and a Switch too.
And a switch to and a Honus Wagner one on the auction.
One,
No reserve.
no
No
reserve.
reserve.
Let's do it.
Uh, all right. With that being said, as always, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell again. If you guys are enjoying this show, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. Continue to grow what we're doing. Appreciate you guys so very much. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We will be back tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Can't wait to see you guys. See what's going on with the infractions. So, you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.